All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we have a pretty insane story coming to us today from Fandom Pulse, and this one's pretty nuts because it's from a former head of a studio that we all obviously loved back in the day, which was BioWare, which we're talking about, obviously, Casey Hudson. Now, Casey is the guy who took a lot of the heat, let's just say, for the creative decisions that happened over on Mass Effect 3 with the ending and whatnot. If you guys were around for that when it happened, it was a massive backlash of epic proportions that was in every magazine at the time. It was insane what happened with Mass Effect 3. Well, apparently, Mass Effect and the Star Wars KOTOR director has just recently shut down his new studio before ever releasing a single video game.
I'm shocked.
Who's laughing now?
Oh, I made myself sad.
Now, if you guys are unaware, Casey decided to open up his own studio a few years ago, and he was coming out with his own sci-fi video game, and some people were excited for it. Overall, I was very cautious because, again, this is the man who was behind a lot of the creative decisions over at old school BioWare when it came to Mass Effect, and we all know how that ended. So I was very, very cautious, but I was still willing to at least hear it out and see what was going to come from it, but apparently nothing's going to come from it, and the studio has completely shut down before they could even get the game out to people's hands. So let's get into this article from Fandom Pulse. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push this out into that YouTube algorithm. So it says Casey Hudson, the former BioWare general manager, who was the director of the Mass Effect trilogy, as well as Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, announced that his new company, Humanoid Origin, is shutting down after 3 without producing a single game. In a post to LinkedIn, the official Humanoid Origin account has announced the following. Earlier today, we informed our staff that Humanoid Origin will be shutting down. Despite efforts to shield the studio from broader challenges in the industry, an unexpected shortfall of funding left us unable to sustain operations. Now, you know what makes this ultimately sad is that a studio like this, that we don't know what they were doing, right? I don't know if they were doing woke shit, right? I don't know what they were doing. Nobody knows what they were doing. But it's kind of sad that a studio like this cannot get funding. A studio like this cannot complete their game and at least release one game, where you got studios like Firewalk Studios and Concord getting all the funding in the world, releasing that absolute trash fire and closing it down in 10 days. You know what I mean? Or you have you have games like Dustborn getting full funding from the government without having to get any profit made whatsoever, because obviously it's not for profit. And they managed to get their game out there for everyone not to play, right? So you got 2 examples of absolute trash fire video games that everybody and their mother could say, well, let's just not fund these projects because obviously it's not exactly very smart. It's kind of dumb. The games are going to flop. Okay, those games get all the funding in the world, but then this studio that we don't know what they were going to do, but has a history of developers that know what they're doing, at least to some extent, and that provided us with experiences that were epic, even though they ended terribly. This studio can't get the funding? It just seems a little odd to me. We're heartbroken that we will not be able to bring our new science fiction universe to completion. Our main concern at this time, however, is for our team, and we are committed to supporting them in their transition to new employment. The post continued, in our time together, the team achieved incredible progress and demonstrated that it's possible to do amazing work while fostering a culture of fun and creativity. We thank them for their talent, courage, and friendship. It is kind of sad. I'm not going to lie to you. I was kind of hoping that this game would at least see its life. And unfortunately, it looks like that's not going to be the case. I highly doubt there's going to be any take this magic donor. You know what I mean? That's why when I look at companies like Take This that are so obviously grifting, they're so obviously lying to people, and they're like, yeah, we need donations, otherwise we're going to close down. We got to get 90,000 by the end of the year. Oh, look, we got 50,000. Hey, we got saved by this magic donor that made up the rest. Yay! We're going to be around for the next 2 years, and then we'll come and grift from you in 2 years from now saying the same exact thing. That stuff doesn't happen. And then you have this company here that clearly needs the money, and guess what? They're not going to get it because there is no magic donor, right? There is no such thing. The studio was launched back in June of 21. With Hudson posting on X, I've been working with some colleagues on something awesome, and I wish I could tell you all about it. For now, though, I can only say this. Today, we are announcing a new independent video game company built to unleash the creative freedom of developers, bringing innovation and artistry to players through an all-new IP. He added, "We are Humanoid Studios. This is the first tiny step in our journey, and we hope you'll come along with us on the adventure." You know what's crazy? To see like the fall so quickly, because if he opened it in 2021 and closed down 3 years later, that's so insane, right? Most AAA games take at least a few more years than that to make, especially when you are a little bit on the smaller side, which I gotta imagine Humanoid Origin was probably on the smaller side. So for them to shut down after just 3 years, that must mean that they were absolutely hemorrhaging money. They must have been. They didn't have enough money to make this into something that could sustain itself. It's just a thing. They don't have the funding. By February of this year, the company revealed it was creating a brand new science fiction universe that it was describing as an incredible AAA IP unlike anything else. It's pretty clear that Casey was trying to latch on to, I guess, his success, if you even want to call it that, with the Mass Effect series, even though, again, he took a lot of the blowback and the backlash that came from the ending of Mass Effect 3. But yes, he was the man, like the man in charge. He was the person that everybody went to when it came to Mass Effect. Whenever there was an interview in a gaming magazine, who were they interviewing? Casey. So he was obviously trying to, ride the coattails of the Mass Effect success by opening up this brand new studio. And who knows, maybe he could have made the next Mass Effect. We'll never know now because he never got the funding in order to do it in the first place. So I don't know what's going to happen to the developers who were here. I don't know what kind of situation they were in over at Humanoid Origin. I don't know what they were paying them. I don't know any of this information. But what I do know is that it's quite unfortunate that a studio like this that was trying to do something original, that was trying to do something interesting, that may or may not have been woke because, again, we don't know. Obviously, we don't have enough information, but from the sounds of it, and given the history, it probably wouldn't have been, right? At least not in the modern sense of the word, like Dragon Age Veilguard, right? It wouldn't have been anything like Dragon Age Veilguard, to be honest with you. That I could pretty much guarantee you, but it's sad that we cannot see this game come to life, and yet we unfortunately had to bear witness to games like Concord and Dustborn and all this other shit that's been coming out lately, and those games get to come to life. But this game, nope, can't happen because nobody wants to fund it. It makes you wonder why that is. So ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, I am sure that Casey is going to find employment somewhere else, and I am sure that the developers over at Humanoid Origin are going to find employment somewhere else. Hopefully, they can get off their feet pretty quickly, but it's kind of sad. It is kind of sad. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it if you get to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
No. Wait.